Hello, this is Pastor Danny. Welcome to Hear, Believe, and Receive. And I hope that's what you do today. It's good to have you with us. And now, last time we got to verse 24 in Exodus chapter 15. The children of Israel had just gotten to Marah, and the waters were bitter, and the people did their thing. They started to complain. In verse 25, it tells us that Moses cried out to the Lord, and I imagine he did. I probably would have cried. It says it was really, you know, bad. They, crying out, complaining. That's all they did. Complain, complain. Well, it was a really tough problem for God to take care of that. You know what I mean? No, not. No, no, it wasn't. He told Moses to go cut down a certain tree there and throw it in the water. Moses did, and the water was made sweet. Wow, all that complaining, and it just took that. All they had to do was just go to God and ask Him. You know, I like to say, wow, He knows what to do all the time. We just need to ask and listen. Then do what He says to do. What if He told Moses, go get that tree down and bring it here and throw it in the water? And what if Moses brought it over there and laid it on the bank? The water's still been bitter. We do that sometimes. God tells us what to do, we don't do it. And we still have the same problem. You know, I'm going to say this again. We just need to listen to God. We need to ask Him and then listen to what He says and then do what He says to do. And I thought about that sweet water, and I said, you know what? If we do that, it'll make life so much sweeter for us. Oh, man. Listen and do. In the last part of verse 25, after He made the water sweet, it says this. There He made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there He proved them. There He proved them. Made a statute, not a statue, but a statute and an ordinance, and He proved them. The statute, that's an enactment. Yes, it's an appointment of time, space, quantity, labor, or usage. It's appointed, it's bound, it's a commandment. It may have a set time, set task. The ordinance, it's like a verdict. It's favorable or unfavorable. It pronounces judicially. It's especially a sentence or formal decree, a defined law, including the act, the place, the suit, the crime, the penalty, abstractly, justice, including, I like this, including a participant's right or privilege, statutory or customary. Now that prove, that means to test. That's to see if you'll do it. So these are things that God said, statute, that's a commandment. So you need to do this. It's an ordinance. Again, it says that there's stuff you need to do. You got a right and privilege in here, but there's stuff you need to do. And where it gets said that God proved them to test them, to see what they were doing. Verse 26, now this is God talking, and said, if thou wilt diligently, that means hear intelligently. That means really hear and understand. If thou diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and will do that which is right in His sight, and will give ear to His commandments, and keep all His statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you, which I have brought upon the Egyptians. Boy, this is good. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. And He's told us the same thing. Jesus went to the cross. The stripes that He took on His body were for our healing. He is still the Lord that heals us. In the next verse, it tells us they came to Elim, and there were 12 wells of water there, and 70, that means 70, palm trees, and they camped by the waters. God blessed them with all the water they needed. He will do the same for you in every area of your life, whatever you need, if you will do what He says to do. In chapter 16, they moved from Elim and went to the wilderness of Sin. It is between Elim and Sinai. Numbers 33, verses 10 through 11. They moved from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. they moved from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. Now, Exodus 16:1 says, and they journeyed from Elim, and all the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin. And that's pronounced really Sin in the Hebrew. It says, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. According to Exodus 12, they left on the 15th day of the first month. They had the Passover meal on the 14th day, and they left the day after that. That should have been 30 days from the time that they left Egypt that they got to the wilderness of Sin. Let's see what the children of Israel did after the 30 days of being free from Egypt, not being slaves to Pharaoh. I know they were happy, don't you? Exodus 16, verses 2 and 3. The whole congregation of the children of Israel were very pleased with what God was doing. Yay! No, that wasn't it either. Let me read that again and read it right. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured. And again, that word murmured means obstinate in words, to complain. They murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and where we did eat bread to the full. Now, I guess they would rather have died while they were eating meat and bread. I don't know, but then they said, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Oh, man. After all God's done for them, they're still complaining. And they got a good chance to trust God here and say, God, we need food. What do we do? We know you're going to give it to us. But no, they start murmuring and complaining. And I want to let you know that sometimes, they've only been out there 30 days. Sometimes it may be longer than 30 days for you to get what you asked for. But don't give up on God. Don't begin to murmur. Just trust Him. Just wait on Him and thank Him for it. And as I studied the book of Exodus, I have noticed that they, the children of Israel, did not seem to ask God for anything. They just seemed to complain and whine. Mark 11, 22 through 24 says, and now this was after the fig tree that Jesus spoke to had withered. And Jesus answering saith unto them, have faith in God. Some translations say, have the faith of God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and thou shalt not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever. Whatsoever. Remember it said whosoever, and then whatsoever they ask. Therefore, because of this, I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Pray, believe, and receive. Hebrews 4, 14 through 16. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession. For we have not the high priest which cannot be touched with our feelings or our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, just like we are. And he was man. He went through the same stuff, yet without sin. Let us therefore, there's that word therefore again, because of this, come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. I didn't see any complaining in there, did you? Did it say complain to God and then He would answer you? Oh, Lord, I've waited so long. This is that and that and this and this. No, it says to ask. Come boldly to the throne and ask Him, knowing that you'll receive what you ask for. You see, you don't have to complain and whine to receive from God. As a matter of fact, if you do whine and complain, you probably won't get it from God. You ask, giving praise and glory to Him, believing that you will receive. In the next verse, Exodus 16, verse 4, God told Moses that He, God, would rain bread from heaven for the people. Next time, we'll see how that works out. Now, if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, please ask Him into Ask Him to forgive you of your sin and confess that He is the Son of God, that He laid His life down for you, and that He was raised from the dead so that you could be born again into the family of God. Just talk to Him like that. Tell somebody you asked Jesus into your life. We at Go Church on Chafee Road would love for you to come and tell us. Pastor Simone is a great pastor and teacher, and the people are great. Come worship with us. And again, this is Pastor Danny saying, I am so glad you were with us today. I hope you will be with us next time on Hear, Believe, and Receive.